Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Thick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick with you this morning on our show today. What are we talking about? We're going to talk about what's moving. So Boeing is moving. ZSAN has an offering. We can talk about oil. We can talk about Levi Strauss has earnings after the bell. There's just a number, not a lot of huge movers, but some movers nonetheless. Some ratings are active again today. Disney has an upgrade. US Steel has a downgrade, another downgrade for Roku, I believe. And ZGNX had their drug news yesterday. So we'll get to all those and more. Our guest today, Nic Chahine. He joins us every other Tuesday. He's our options guru, author of Create Income with Option Spreads and SellSpreads.com. Joel, what is the word here in the overnight session?
A little bit of a sleepy market, probably like all those traders that stayed up late watching the overtime national championship game, but tight range in the S&P is only a 7-point range. We have 2,900 keeping the lid on the rally so far. You have Friday's high, Monday's high, and October high there. But if this market acts like it normally does, it should probably take that out very soon. Crude been up 7 out of 8 days. I wish I would have started watching that 2 or 3 days ago, but down 7 cents now at 64.32. Gold in the green by 390 at 1305 AV. Silver in the green too by 1.9 cents at 1523 and a half. We are here. We're live. Triple D, did you fall asleep at your desk last night?
Yes. It was very slow. I was just looking this AAL news that just came out, so I was actually, too late. I was just trying to trade AAL because it just came out with some news, but quickly it's gone. So just breaking American Airlines, sees Q1 slightly lower from where it was. The estimates there, I just missed it. Just flew it by on my timeline there. So you caught me in the middle of a trade. What's going on?
Well, let's just take a look at AAL here just real quick to see. They also canceled some more flights due to the Boeing problems. Let's just take a look at AAL. Keep in mind you have Delta Airlines earnings when? I believe on Wednesday before the open. That stock's had a heck of a run. Big dip here at 33.20 is where you're trading. I don't know, Dennis. I don't know how low they're going to take this. It's had a nice rally.
This is just breaking. This just broke 2 minutes ago. So when you see these things initially break, sometimes they hit them really hard. You get the news algorithm that goes bang, 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 bang. And then sometimes it's like, okay, well, it's not that bad. So haven't digested it yet here, but you're seeing the stock trade down 2%. We like to give you that breaking news when it happens. So that's why we went straight to that one.
The headline is, I'm reading it.
Yeah, give it to me because it flew by on me, and then I started trying to trade it.
I'm just reading it straight from the release right now. So available seat miles for the first quarter, slightly higher than the previous guidance. Total revenue per available seat mile. They expect that first quarter to be, or that number to be flat to up 1% year over year for the first quarter. The previous guidance was up 2%, so a little bit light on their total revenue per available seat mile metric, and that's the headline.
Other headlines. So this is slowed down here trading now, so we can move on from it. It was a quiet night. So you were asking me before I got sidetracked with the American Airlines, so I fell asleep at my desk last night. I most definitely did. I mean, we had like a 1-point S&P range for almost the entire 4-hour after-hours session, from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I don't know if we got out of a 2-point range. Did we? Can you verify that, Joel? Because it sure as hell didn't feel like it.
Let's see here. You're talking from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will go to my 15-minute chart here. And I think it was a little bit more than that. We've only had a 7-point range overnight, so that would be 1,600 to 2,000, right? And yeah, 94 and a quarter. Yeah, I see it was a little bit closer to about 3.5, but very quiet. I mean, yeah,
Very
we're consolidating up near the top here.
Yeah.
I mean, who thought 2,900? I mein, it's just a psychological level running up into earnings, but we'll see what happens today.
I've got 2
Pre-market
months
eye.
here to get up to 293.94 on the SPY to take Joel down in this dinner bet.
I'll let you out for a bag of chips. It's not a dinner bet. Oh, you got me. You got me. I tried to upgrade to
I
a
tried to
dinner.
sneak that one through. It's a lunch bet, but
I gotcha.
I see what he say with a dinner bet. You still owe me like a dozen dinners anyway. It's steak
No.
dinners.
Yeah,
And you're not
okay.
taking me to Steak and Shake.
Yeah, Omaha steaks. I'll get some of those delivered.
Omaha.
But I
There you
did
go.
fire up the
Sounds
grill
like a
the
good
other.
steak.
I did fire up the grill the other night.
I did too yesterday or 2 days
Yeah.
ago. Nice. It's 70 degrees yesterday. What's going on? It's
Oh,
warm.
hopefully, my buddy in Portland, Maine, had 60 degrees and then he got 5 inches of snow. So hopefully that won't be happening to
Well,
us.
up there near my cottage, which is up, in northern Ontario, there's so much ice and snow up there still that there's a 700-foot vessel that is at Midland Harbor that is actually stuck right now. They've had 3 icebreakers come in. They cannot break the ice north of Hope Island. Guess how thick they estimate the ice to be north of Hope Island? Take a wild guess.
50 feet.
How thick 50 feet. Well, it's not gonna be 50 feet. You can walk. You can
Okay.
walk on 6 inches of ice to put it in perspective.
All right,
2 feet.
20
When you
feet.
shoot 6 inches of ice, you can walk on it. You get a foot of ice, it's pretty thick.
2 feet.
Take a
All right.
guess.
2 feet.
19 feet. It is 19 feet deep. The icebreakers, they've had 3 icebreakers, 3 separate ones. They brought one from Quebec, a huge one, to try to get through it. Cannot get through it. So the boat's been stuck there for 2 weeks. It's loaded with grain. It can't get out. And it's been stuck there for 2 weeks because there's 19 feet of ice north of Hope Island. So only thing you can do is just wait till it continues to warm and that slowly starts to melt. But it's going to be a very cold swim up north this year when you have certain spots. And that's not all the way across, just certain spots. But I mean, 19 feet in this one spot north of Hope Island, that is absolutely incredible. I've never heard of ice that deep. Not if you're not in the North Pole. Yeah. Imagine being an ice fisher spinner and you're trying to dig through. We'll just drill through here. We'll get through the first foot of ice. Oh, we're through the second one and the third one. 19 feet later, you're gonna get some good fish down there. And you hit the bottom, you hit dirt. It's frozen all the way down. No, 19 feet, that's crazy. So, anyways, we digress once again on this show. Bring us back in. There's some ratings. There's some other movers here too. Should we go to this pharmaceutical news? Because we got a couple movers in pharma land here. Zogenex is getting the beats, and it's actually helping GWPH. What's the news here?
Yeah, this was news that was came out after the close yesterday. Is that one of their drugs has been the approval has been delayed. They got a letter from the FDA. I don't have the name of it. It's called Fintelpa, and I don't know what the drug does, but the timeline for approval is now delayed, and that is helping GWPH this morning.
So we're looking at Zogenex, which is a Zebra GNX, trading down $13.50 on this news. Joel, talk about the after hours action here. I was trying to follow this one a bit. It was pretty much one of the only movers there last night, and it is a big time moving here this morning too.
Well, the bad news, it's deeply in the red. The good news is that it's off its low of the day or of the pre-market trading. That came in at 34.70, and you've had nothing but green bars since then. So if I had to guess, I'd say your pre-market low could stand. If you go back towards that area, I think you'll find bids because you found bidders there since it hit 34.70. Going back, that's taking out the former low of, the low of the move on December 24th was 33.43, 33.97. So big area under that. Coming back on a rally, I have no idea this will stop. It will stop where everyone that scooped it up under $35, under $36 decides to scalp out of it. That will be the resistance.
GWPH getting a big lift on this here. Actually, last night it was trading up there too to 174. It's wide here this morning. It hasn't traded a lot of stock, only 3,000 shares this morning. 171.50 to 174.50. So you can say it's a fairly wide spread, but it was up on this, so I expect it to open up on this. Funny things happen, but it looks like it's going to have a little bit of inverse correlation to ZGNX here this morning.
Oh, wow. That thing was tight before this. Look at those trading
Yeah.
ranges for quite a long time. Your initial spike took you to 176 even. That is an area of interest because you have a pair of highs. Let's just call it 177 if the rally continues. You had a 76.49 and a 77.37 high back in March 21st and March 22nd.
BTFD wins again. American Airlines is all the way back up to scratch. Widespread still, but it was down 2% with that news, and it just seems like there's buyers lurking below and everything, and they've bought this all the way back up. Now, again, it's widespread, 33.50 to 33.89, but it just printed flat. So just letting you know that they still exist out there. Jump over, if we're talking about buy the dip, Micron dip did get bought again yesterday too.
Yep.
We talked about that on the show, and I mean, they bought it the day before on the downgrade, gets downgraded again. They bought the dip again. The stock opened right at the exact low, almost around 42.17. Within 20 minutes, it was trading 43, so got most of the losses back in the first 20 minutes. I mean, this is just the way this market is, and it's been the strategy that's worked the most for the last 3-4 years. And stocks that are fairly strong, stocks that are in uptrends, when you get these dips, the buyers just emerge. And whether they're downgrades or whether it's news even related, it seems like, unless it's significant, it seems like buy the dippers just are on anything that is still in an uptrend.
All right. S&P's leaking a little bit here. The pre-market low is 93 even. Friday's low is at 86.75, but we took that out yesterday, 84.25. Monday's low. My big number for the week, I mentioned this yesterday, no potential downside in this market until we take out 28.80. That was Friday's low. And I got a weekly number there as well. And 2900, someone's making a stand there. We'll see if that holds up today.
And what's going on with Apple? Because every morning I come in, it doesn't even seem to matter what the market is doing anymore. Apple is up. Here the market is down here this morning. It doesn't matter. Apple's up another $1. We're now over $200 in Apple. This has got to be one of the best performances off of lowered guidance that I've ever seen. So last quarter, Apple, I believe from the lows, was up 39%. It warned on the second day of the quarter. So it warned, and that's when we had the big fall. That's just the most incredible comeback in a stock that warned at the beginning of the quarter to finish the quarter that strong. A stock that big with that kind of market cap. Just incredible. I'm still long the stock, obviously, in my long-term investment portfolio. I don't think anybody saw this thing when it was 142 starting the year, basically on the earnings warning, that it was going to be $200 right in, on April the 8th. That's an incredible comeback for one of the biggest companies in the world.
Well, first of all, is it what earnings are later in the month, right? So you got a little pre-earnings run going on, right? People buying it ahead of the report.
I mean, it's been running nonstop. I mean, it's been running for 3 months. So yeah, it's a pre-earnings run here too. So maybe it's starting to get some upside capitulation going here, where they were really starting to buy hand over fist. Yesterday was a great day for it, but despite the market, I mean, what did the market do yesterday? It was sitting there doing nothing. Apple's up $4. So, I mean, it's impressive to have that kind of relative strength, and it's up $1.20 here again this morning. I don't know what derails it. We'll see. Obviously, the earnings warning last time didn't derail it. So even if it warns, or even if they miss and it dips, there's probably going to be people that are going to buy it again. So just because it worked last time. So stock is just off to the races. Spencer, do you have an update on the overall market cap? Who's the most valuable company in the world? Because Apple's got to be back in the mix now.
I don't got it. Last I saw it was Microsoft a couple weeks ago, months, but I don't have an update. Sorry.
Nice little stat from Jimmy A in the chat. Apple gains $250 billion in market cap on their $9 billion warning. Every company should warn that sales are going to be $9 billion lower. Incredible news. Now, I mean, if you're buying it now, holy cow, you're late to the party.
Dennis, we said that before, though. We said that before, or maybe you said it before. Remember when it got all that analyst love?
It's been running nonstop, so I'm sure I've been trying to fade this, even though I'm still long in the long-term portfolio. it just keeps going. So I guess, you just can't fight these trends when it's just going and going and going. It keeps on going.
The big one was the Bank America upgrade on March 11th. And then Needham.
That one I was on. So that one was the one that I can remember. If you rewind the tape, I remember saying this could gap and go on this. So I was on that one. Now, I'm sure I've been wrong somewhere here in the last couple of weeks on this. When a stock goes up this much, I'm sure I would have been ringing the register, although I haven't rung the register in my long-term portfolio. But if I had it on for a trade, a swing trade, I would probably have sold it a long time ago. But impressive move. I mean, trend is still your friend here, and the relative strength's been absolutely incredible. It just feels like it's overdone, though.
Let me see if I can fill the gap here. Let me see your next area, 202.25. That fills the gap from Monday, November 12th. Where was the close on day? That close on that day was 204.47. And the next daily high that I have is 206.01. That was from November 9th. And maybe people think that they're finally diversifying, away from the phone and services. They have the eyes, the credit card, the health. Maybe all these things are going to come into play for Apple. We'll find out April 30th is when they report. So if this is the start of the pre-earnings run, we got another 11 days before that. No, 21 days before that happens. Let's talk about stocks going the other way, and it's always in the news. Boeing trading in the red today.
It's slightly down here, leaking a bit. Had a rough day yesterday, and it did not bounce back yesterday, and it's broke trend here now. Failed up at the 400, so now it's got some work to do again. It's probably, like I said, we could see a retest in the next few days in those low 360s. Can it pass that test? But the next headline, it's headline risk on this thing too. Next headline could drive us up or low. It's kind of a coin flip here as it's in the middle of the range. So I would say takes out yesterday's low, which is 371.86. Then you're going to see this thing in the 360s and maybe the lower 360s eventually here. So if you are trying to play it by the dip on this, you absolutely want to see it hold yesterday's low.
They report on the 24th, but they're also expected to release the amount of 737s they delivered last quarter today. I don't know when today, whether it be this morning or after the close, but they are expected to release that number this morning. And remember, the last 2 weeks of the quarter, they did not deliver any 737s. So I don't know when the number will come out, but I'm sure whenever it does, it will move the stock.
I don't know what to say. It's just too many headlines. To try to call this stock day to day is nearly impossible. So let's go to a stock that might be easier to call. Well, probably not easier to call either. NBEV, huge move there yesterday. I did not see that one coming. I mean, I thought it could go higher. I'm still worried about the potential for a secondary. Obviously, nobody was worried about that yesterday because the stock just went straight up all day up to 663. Maybe they're a little bit more worried about it here this morning because it's trading down 5% in the pre-market. I don't know if there's a headline. I haven't seen anything running by on NBEV, so anybody who follows the story, but I still think there's a potential for a secondary to come out here because of that shelf that they threw out. So if they do announce that, that could put, that could definitely bring the stock back in a bit, but I did not see it running this much yesterday. Impressive move.
I think it's part of it. Do we talk about the short interest at all in it? Does it have a high short interest?
I think it does.
Yeah, so you had short scrambling here. Pullback, big old day yesterday, trading near the lows of the pre-market session at 615, 14 cents after that. So if you get through that, I don't know, maybe $6, a lot of short stuck from yesterday. Yesterday's low way down at 5.25. So that's your support. Wow, volume on that thing yesterday, Dennis. 5 million on Friday, 66.2 million yesterday.
Wow.
Holy mackerel.
So it did 10 times its normal volume.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Wow.
That was a big move. And short interest over 25%. So it is significant. So you obviously had a short squeeze in there as well. Pulling back here this morning, just word of caution, if you're buying, it could, continue to run here. It was good news for it. I just still worry about that secondary, but maybe I'm worrying for nothing. Maybe they're not going to announce one. Jump over. SNE they're talking about in the chat with Third Point taking a stake. Sony is an ADR. It trades actively overseas, so it's not as active over here, but it is trading up here in the pre-market. It had a big day yesterday, SNE going from 42.96 all the way up to 46.60. So I think the bulk of these gains are already in this stock. It's a stock we haven't talked about in a long time. Break down the technicals, always trickier to trade these ADRs on a technical basis, though.
Yeah, I mean, continuing the move from yesterday, bumping up against 47, 46.95 is your last print. 46.98 is your pre-market high. What am I seeing on the dailies here? 46.84 and 47 were some highs earlier in the month, but be careful. You rip through 47, things are really open up to the upper 47 handle. As you mentioned, how much of this news is already, baked into the stock being over there. But nice move. See if we can plow through 47.
Couple big ratings to talk about as well. Let's go to the House of Mouse, Disney, trading up almost $1 here in the pre-market. It does get some love from Cowen with the upgrade. They put a price target on this thing, Spencer. What did they say?
Oh, the upgrade was to outperform. Was there a price target? Good question. I don't see one. There probably was, but I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Anyway, stock getting a lift here. I mean, I'm torn on Disney. I had this one in the long-term portfolio. I sold it. I kind of wish I would have rebought it, obviously, on the last dip. I did not. It's had a good move here in the last couple of weeks, but there is a catalyst. I mean, they're coming at Netflix hard here. So is this going to start to get some love from the Hulu? Is it the Hulu product they're doing? Am I saying that right? Hulu?
No. They are doing their own streaming.
They haven't named it yet?
I think it's called Disney Plus. I'm not sure actually.
Disney Plus?
I don't know what it's called, but it's going to be released, I think, in the fall or winter of 2019. And it's going to compete with Hulu and Netflix and Apple, Apple's new product, and Amazon.
Everybody's coming at Netflix hard.
Etc.
If anybody can do it, I'm going to bet on probably Disney, because we know content. And people say Netflix puts out the best content. I completely disagree with that. Disney rocks in content. And if they start coming out with some stuff, they might be able to come out with some really good content on their product there. So it's interesting, though, Netflix doesn't seem to care. I mean, you look at the stock and it just kind of hangs out up here. Yeah, it's been down for a couple of days, but really it's, we've known this Disney product's been coming for a little while and it really hasn't done much. But if you think about it, what Netflix trades like 80 or 100 times, Disney trades 15 times forward earnings. So if they really do come out with a product that competes and does a good job with it, you could see that Netflix multiple contract a little bit and maybe see the Disney multiple expand a little bit. So I don't mind Disney here at $115.
Well, it's at 115.85, up 89 cents here in the pre-market. Just two notes on Disney here. The unwinding of that Fox ARB, they just punished this thing. And anybody that sold into that unwinding of that deal probably should have waited a little bit. But, right back up in this trading range that is held since the middle of February. So definitely not chasing here at 116. I see some multiple highs at 115.80, 116.25. Do you see anything in the book there at 116, Dennis? Or do you think we just have like a sneaky seller out there just hitting bids when it gets over 116?
Always a good idea to take a look when you see a big level. And Joel with the call, yes, 90,000 shares of Disney offered at $116. So that is why it's struggling to get over 116 in the pre-market. So I would think, an upgrade here probably going to put it in that area there. So it's probably going to open up near that 116. I think unless it comes out with some more news, very unlikely to open over 116. So good call, Joel.
Where do you put Cowen in your ratings land?
They move stuff. So it's not like Goldman, but they're just a step down from there. So I would put Cowen fairly high. If I see Cowen upgrade or downgrade something, they move stuff. And some of these smaller firms, they're just, there's coverage. Like we know Gordon Haskett, obviously, if it's going to be on GE, because we know who it's Inch over there. It all depends on sometimes the analyst as well who's covering the stock. Because sometimes the analysts are just widely followed, for, maybe they move from a different firm, or maybe they just widely follow for that stock. Now, I don't know this Cowen analyst. I didn't see who was upgrading it, but I'll just say Cowen has some influence. So you got to respect them.
All right. We get a question here on LNN. a stock I've never heard of from
Traded
Lindsay.
it.
Yeah.
It trades.
They had earnings this morning, and
Not good.
I don't know if this EPS number was adjusted or what, but the EPS they reported for Q2 was 2 cents, and the estimate was 62 cents. So I don't know what's going on there. Sales 109 versus 115 million dollars. So light on the sales, extremely light on that EPS number. Again, I don't know if that's somehow adjusted or not, but if that's straight,
The market thinks it's not adjusted. I'll tell you that because it's down $11 here right now. This is a stock that it's not a huge beta stock. So this stock is a huge move for LNN.
Yeah.
I mean, this is taking out all, here you got a stock that was trading in the middle of its, 4-month range. It's blowing through every level that's on the sheet.
It is.
And we're trading now down, to new yearly lows here. So this is something, because this level, actually, if you go even farther back, Joel, which you probably have already done, you're probably ahead of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went back a year and a half. We're taking out like lows from like the last 2 years, all in one mighty foul swoop.
Exactly. 2 years, pretty much on the nose. A little bit more back in March of 2017. You had a 79.01 low. So if you're thinking of covering a short, maybe wait for that level. The interesting thing, though, is if it takes that out, you don't have a pair of monthly lows until 73.5, and that was back in January and February. But if it gets that low, I'm buying it. I'm buying it at 73.5. If it
You don't
gets
even
that
know
low
what the company.
today,
You don't even follow the company.
I don't
just
care.
said. I'm just buying it.
I'm just buying it for a scalp. Maybe I'll get short before if it gets there today. Do you think it will get there today, Dennis?
I have no idea, but this is a big move.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens at 79.01, and then at 73.
It probably never had a move this big on one day. Like, I'm just looking. I'm going back to the monthlies even now. I mean, you're talking about a stock that basically for the last, you can even go back the last 7 years at a 30-point trading range for the most part. We've got out of there, but really. 2013 we're 90, 2014 90, 2015 90, 2016 we got down to the 67 area, and then we came back up 90. I mean, now all of a sudden you get like a 11-point move in a stock that moves 11 points in a full year. It's a huge move. I don't know if buy the dippers are coming in here, but wow, that's an impressive move for a stock.
Doesn't move much. Dennis, I'm not going to quiz you. Instead, I'm going to go to Pro here, and I'm going to try and figure out what they do. Boom. What the hell do they do?
They are a farm and construction equipment.
Irrigation systems used in agricultural industry to increase or stabilize crop production while conserving water, energy, and labor. Man, oh man.
They learned something new today.
Yeah. What's the sympathy play with that one, Dennis?
I don't know the irrigation stock. Sorry. So I'm not going to be able to jump at you there. If you're going into machinery, I don't know if you're going to see any weaknesses.
I got a few here. Why not Deere or Caterpillar? Or
I thought about that.
It's mostly irrigation systems though. So I don't see like anything about big machinery. So if it's a big machinery maker, that's a different story. But you're talking about a company that looks like they specialize in irrigation.
Why not CNHI or AGCO or TEX? I'm just throwing out some symbols.
Keep an eye on them, all the farming stuff.
Yeah, but as we speak here, it continues to leak, trading at the lows of the pre-market session, 81.03. Did you catch that one, Dennis?
I got you. It was a good one, Joel. I still gave you tickets on it, though, but we got it. So we got 30 seconds before imbalances here. Let's jump over. The other rating that I was going to talk about before we got all sidetracked was U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel X trading down 4%, gets a downgrade, I believe, to underperform from Credit Suisse. Stock is trading down 4% in the pre-market. It is hanging on support here now. If it takes that 18, takes out the low of the move, which is 1876, this could be at 18 and then 17 in a hurry. This chart is not healthy.
What about steel tariffs? Weren't they supposed to be great for this stock? And is that my memory serving me correctly or not? But anyways, why are the spoos getting killed here, Dennis? Are you seeing anything here? I mean, not getting killed, but we're continuing to leak. Yeah, yeah. I guess that Lindsay Industries really shook people up here. I'm looking at X here, and you had traded lower. in the pre-market. You traded down to 1870. You're getting a little bit of a rebound. This has been a monthly support area going back to, well, January, you got down to 1709. So maybe there's, if you're holding out for a little bit more, there's a target on the downside. I see a monthly low at 1764 and then another one at 1709.
I'm just trying to trade. There is some imbalances that just came out there, mostly to the sell side here.
There you go.
GE, good night. 652,000 to sell in General Electric. That's huge. Stock's down another 1.7% here in the pre-market. It started getting hit right on that imbalance data too. It was already down, but it really started getting hit when you see 600,000 sell. That's big for GE. We've seen a lot of GE sell amounts across the board, really. I don't see anything really with a buy imbalance. They're not big, but they're big enough. ExxonMobil, 66,000 to sell. Oil just starting to leak here, just slightly here in the pre-market. Bank of America, 123,000 to sell. Citigroup, 51,000 to sell. TLT is trading up. That is usually bad for the financials, although TLT is only up 21 cents. Procter Gamble, 40,000 to sell. Johnson Johnson, 41,000 to sell. Those are somewhat significant as well for those stocks.
Wow.
Pfizer, 96,000 to sell. Now, they're not enormous, so I don't want to get everybody all spooked here, but I just don't see any buy imbalances. So I don't see anything that's going to help out. So that makes me think that the S&Ps are starting to leak for that reason as well.
All right. Out of the chat, from 12,527,923 Queen of Likes, that's an actual name, in the Google chat, says, what does SPOOs mean? And anybody has a question anytime, ask it. SPOOs are short for the Standard & Poor's 500 index futures.
The SP futures.
Yeah,
it's a
S&P
nickname
futures,
for the SP futures.
which are more relevant in the market than the spider.
I mean, that's from the pit, really, right? You guys call it the SPOOs down in the pit, right?
Right. Yep.
So this is pit talk coming from 80s, 90s. It actually, I don't know if anybody really knows where it comes from, but I would gather it probably comes from the D's. The D's is the Z, because SPOOs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the U. So the U,
yeah.
it probably comes from the September expiration, which is under the symbol U. So maybe somebody came up with that during that quarter where we had the September on the board, and I would think that's what it is. So I would think it, and people will spell it SPOOS. I think Joel spells it the correct way, because I think it should be SPUS as well, because I bet you it originally came from the U expiration on the September contract of the S&P futures. That's my thoughts.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody really knows where that nickname originally came from, but it's very common.
Yep.
When you hear somebody talking the SPOOs, they're just talking the S&P futures.
I'm just talking S&P futures. A common question from JVS Rancher: where do you find the pre-market to buy orders? Well, they're all through his system, and we've had mentioned a few times that there are other platforms, so you can get the imbalances. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just grabbing. They come out at 8:30. We've talked this yesterday a little bit too. They come out at 8:30. They give you an indication of what it's looking like at the open. So these are the New York orders that are geared for the New York. It's either the marketable orders. Well, it's all the marketable orders, and or it's either market orders or limit orders to sell that are placed below the close, or limit orders to buy that are placed above the close. That's what's made up of. So basically, if you put 1,000 shares to sell FIs at the market on the New York Open, it'll show up as 1,000 to sell in the New York imbalance feed. I'll add all those up, and these are the numbers I'm giving you. That's why GE has 652,000 to sell. Whew. So they're saying there's 652,000 to sell below 949. So, because it's all relative to the close. So that's significant. GE, if it has 100,000 in the morning, it's probably going to put a little pressure on the stock. 652,000, 8:30 in the morning, put a lot more pressure on the stock. We know GE had the ugly downgrade yesterday, kind of tried to bounce back from it. I said I think it's going to see 9 sooner than later. Didn't quite get down to 9 yesterday. I'm still keeping that on the table. I think we see $9, maybe not today, but at least those couple lows, 905, 907. I think we're going to see that in the next couple days. I just don't see any reason, unless we get some other analysts coming out with an upgrade or the company says something positive. I don't really see any reason for this to just bounce back in the absence of news.
Okay. All right. What do we got? 8:34, Spencer. Who are we going to dial up?
It is 8:35. Look at that. I lost track of time. Let me go grab today's guest, Nic Chahine. He is the author of Create Income with option spreads on the Marketify platform, also sellspreads.com, and this is the other site he joins us every other Tuesday to just kind of take what we throw at him and share some charts and tell us his option strategies and how he would approach things. And he's really good in our chat as well. If you're not in the premarket.benzinga.com chat, that is where Nick posts his charts while he's on with us. And I'm calling him right now. So let's see if he answers.
And it gives Spencer a little break from Dennis and I when he starts from 7:45 in the morning.
Sure.
Good morning.
What's up, Nick?
Hey,
the usual, just trying to see what's going on with this market. I see some red ticks right here, so somebody must have said something somewhere.
The imbalances are really starting to grow here too. Now 779,000 to sell in GE, so Boeing 47,000 to sell. There's just I don't know if anybody said anything, Nick, but at 8:30 in the morning you get the New York imbalances that came out. They're all to the sell side, and some were fairly heavy. So
Yeah.
I think that's where we really started to leak was after 8:30 when this imbalance data came out, because I'm seeing sells pretty much across the board.
Well, that kind of coincides with a little rip in the last couple of hours in bonds, I think. So, that's usually a flight that usually is inversely related to the stock itself. So, what are we talking about this morning? Anything exciting?
First, Nick, I want to ask you, I read your morning note today, and, you see indecision in the market. Tight ranges are an indication of consolidation. Consolidation lead to new moves. So you decided to look at a little bit of hedging. Why did you pick 3 weeks, Nick? What was it? Was it 2 weeks or 4 weeks or premium were there? Why did you go out 3 weeks? Just give yourself some time, anything in particular?
I think that within 3 weeks, we'll know if they want to, rhetoric this market down. This is the accident scene from October. So this is where same basket of situations, I think, from October. We are at all-time high thereabouts after a big V recovery. And it's time for them to decide. They, as in everybody I read, hear, watch, whatever, the rhetoric is negative. We've come too far too long. So this is an argument that kills me. We've come too far too fast. We fell faster, first of all. And it's not a reason to. So if I didn't crash my car in a long time, do I stay home because I'm due for an accident? So it just doesn't make sense. I'm okay with somebody saying, hey, because of X and Y, we should short here or get out here or protect here. I'm merely protecting against the rhetoric. The buyers are still in control. Every dip is being bought. So this morning, this dip right here we're talking about is just merely back to the value area low of yesterday, which is absolutely normal price action. You break out of a zone, you come back and test it for support to see if you've got footing, and then in order to move up to the next level higher. But we have big stocks on the move, like Boeing, you said. I see some strength in Apple and Facebook this morning. So we need mega cap leaders to lead us from here. But like you said, I did say, get some protection where you need it, because I'm getting questions, and this is in response to the questions I'm getting. What do? I've got this and I've got that. Well, that's very simple. Protect where you need it. Well, how do I protect? Well, if I'm long Caterpillar or Boeing, I buy DIA puts, for example. If I'm long a lot of tech, I'll buy triple Qs or the SQQ, whatever, leverage ETF. So wherever I'm long, I would protect. It's cheap money to protect my assets.
All right, I got a symbol. I don't even think we've ever mentioned on the show here. Delphi Technologies, DLPH, and I think they're headquartered here in Detroit, or have big headquarters. Let me see where the headquarters are. Anyway.
I would imagine so. It's a car company, component company.
Yep, it is. Yep, right here in good old Michigan. So what do you think about this one, Nick?
So somebody's watching the technicals on that one. I'm looking at it. I don't usually trade it, but technically there could be an opportunity here. But be careful with the technicals. I don't like to jump the gun. So for me, if I was watching this ticker, I would put an alert in my charting system to alert me at 2420 or higher, because that is the last failure point from recently in February, some 22nd, or last October. So it, like the market, is back to the October accident, except this guy is nowhere near its all-time high. So something happened in the past that brought it down to these levels, and this level is resistance until it's not. So it could have a nice upside, but I would not jump the gun. I would wait for a breach, unless there's an event coming, which I don't think that there is.
All right, let's go to in the chat here, XPO from Ed Parker. He kickstarted this thing a couple weeks ago, identifying when it had a sleepy move here. For me, filling its gap at 58.52, it cleared that by quite a bit. Kind of a slow, steady rally here. I mean, if you're happy about a 50% retracement, then this one's got a long way to go. Any comments on XPO?
Sure. I don't know the company, but I'm looking at the technicals. So it seemed like a while back it topped out at a zone. I'm saying from January, it topped out at a zone that's 63.50 to 58. So that area seems pivotal. So they're coming back into it now. It's going to be a slog. Again, here I would probably set an alert for, I'm just going to guess, to a blended zone of 61.90, where I would start to get interested in. There's one candle that's kind of interesting on January 31st, maybe above that, 62.55. Well, you're saying I'm missing out from 59 to 62. Well, I don't want to be too early. It just closed the gap, so at least wait for it to clear those candles that gapped it down.
How about the burrito maker here? CMG just hanging out over $700. High of the move, 716.49, the all-time high. Ooh, that's up at 758.61 here. Holy mackerel. I mean, doesn't pay to short it yet.
If you don't book your profits at these levels, then you know something I don't. Because ignore all the lines that are on the bottom. These were short dated lines that I didn't want to erase, but it definitely outdid itself in my eyes. I thought it would fail at 550 or 60, and it is the most expensive, one of the most expensive stocks I see from the mega caps. It's a restaurant company, and it trades, I don't know, the PE is probably higher than CRM. It's just, I don't get it. I am missing a piece of the puzzle. And the Taco Bell guy definitely did a great job there, but did they sell their soul? I don't know if they did, because I don't know what they did with the actual menu. I don't go there often. I did go recently. First of all, there was no line. And second of all, the food wasn't that great. So I don't see it. It's not like there's a clear advantage. If I look at an Apple product, I love the way it looks. So I get it for the people that love it. But here, 120 PE, trailing 118. That's this huge premium for a restaurant. What is it? 4 times McDonald's?
Nick, I just want to, this is a good conversation to go into here, and it's something that, I've struggled with from a valuation perspective for a while. I mean, certain stocks trade with P's of multiples of 90 and 100, and certain stocks trade with P multiples of 7 and 8. And the market will justify, there's a good growth there. There's good. Sometimes in some cases, the growth isn't even, as much as you'd think it would be. I mean, it's difficult to just say, let's just say you're a traditional analyst and you're just crunching numbers and you're spitting out multiples and you think this should trade at a 25 multiple. I mean, that's a difficult gig to just say, look at the PE and it should be higher or lower. You got to incorporate all kinds of other factors, do you not? Because PE, like just trading stocks on PE analysis, it's difficult to do in the stock market.
I'm not analyzing the stock at all from a valuation perspective. I'm using the PE as a bar to measure the risk I'm taking. So I want to say, okay, what's the oh crap moment, and what value do I have for it to protect me? There's no value protection from this guy at 120. I'm saying this is exactly the same situation why I got cut in half from one bad burrito back then. So they're one bad burrito away from a similar situation. I'm not saying that they're going to have a bad burrito. I'm saying they're one headline accident. And if it starts falling, there's no support. Whereas if there's no fat on the bone, it'll fall, but eventually you're going to have to cut into bone. So you're likely to have more support. That's all I'm saying. It's not a reason.
But you're always more comfortable writing, like I know you've written on Apple, like when they got a lower multiple like Apple, Yeah, like and I like that strategy too. Like where remember when you were writing Apple a couple of years ago when it was like $90 and people were saying, oh, it could go to 60, and you're like, wow, the thing's trading 8 times or 9 times, earnings if it gets down, or 7 times if it gets down to 60. You just don't see that happening. So that's the downside protection you're talking about, correct?
Yes, and in this case, I would not sell a put in Chipotle. There's no way I would sell a put in Chipotle. I know the premiums are high, but I just can't do it because I don't feel the floor below it. So then I'm taking on risk that is blind to me and is just not worth it. The premiums are expensive. I'd rather probably sell it in Tesla than this one. But it just, I was watching Billions. I'm catching up. I hadn't watched it, so I ran through 3 seasons in like a few days, and they had a similar situation where like one accident on some juice company. So it's
great episode, by the way.
Right,
great
it's
show.
A well done show. I'm surprised.
Great show.
So it's this guy has run too fast for me. I'm not going to short it just for the sake of shorting it, but I definitely am not going to long it here. And if I am long it, I should definitely buy those puts I'm talking about for protection purposes and protect some of my assets.
What about just jumping into other stocks here? What else is on your put writing list? So let's go back, because I like this conversation of writing on when you've got the downside protection there. It just seems like a smart way to go about it. And we know you're a pretty smart trader there, Nic. Is there some other stocks right now that you're looking at as potential writing some puts here? What are you writing right in the last few days?
I have been looking at Boeing, for example. In this case, believe it or not, I did not sell puts because the VIX is still pretty low, and I didn't feel like I have enough juice for me to take on the headlines. So I played it with calls, and I got lucky with a few headlines, and I booked quickly. I still have a few calls left. They're a little bit down, but overall, the trading in Boeing has been positive for me. I just don't get it. I'm missing a piece of the puzzle, and that's why I'm not writing the put. But it would be a company I would write put against because of what it does and what it's done in the past. But it's still pretty close to its all-time high, so I'm still hesitating. So I'm kind of answering your question with I'm not jumping on a lot of puts right now. We're near all-time highs and low VIX. Not ideal to load up on puts short puts, meaning long stocks, too much. It's better to either do it with spreads if you're an active trader, selling spreads below so you limit your downside risk. But it's it's better also to see an opportunity where there's an immediate breakout. So I've been lucky. I wrote a couple of articles and I did a video for members last week or the week before to go along Home Depot and Apple, and both of which just zoomed higher. So those were easier to pick than taking the risk of selling puts out there and saying, hey, go out and sell put on this one or that one. So in the Boeing case, you may have talked about it, so stop me if you did. I don't get it. The company that built and the country that built the planes should have the black box to best analyze and solve this problem that killed people. Maybe it killed people, maybe not. I got hate on Twitter yesterday for making that point, and somebody called me an idiot or blind. So if they said, well, the plane crashed. Well, okay, but let's see what happened to determine whether the pilots made a mistake or not. So the other countries are telling us the pilots didn't make a mistake, but why aren't they giving the black boxes or at least sharing or inviting the engineer somewhere to go there? It's just, I don't get it. It's a proven company. One model plane is not going to break the company. And unless there is malicious behavior like the Pinto situation with the gas tank exploding, I just don't see. I don't see the reason for panic out of the stock.
Wow, going back to the old Pinto. That's going back. That's going back several decades. Nic, we're going to rapid fire here with 3 more symbols, and then call it a day with you. First of all, ZS, Zebra Sam Cloud stock had a great run. A pullback here, finding some support though. I see a double bottom at the 61.5 area. Man, let's see if it can retrace some of this move. Kind of quiet, but any comments on ZS?
Okay, so yeah, I don't know the stock, but like you said, 61.50-ish, plus or minus 20 cents. It looks like I don't know if I'd call it a double bottom, a recent bounce level, but there's a big gap below. So if that goes, then the next level would be 57 or fill the gap below it. I'm not calling that's where it's going, but again, the body language is not that great. from here on that one.
How about Salesforce.com?
Okay, great company, and I haven't looked at it in a while, and I'm surprised why not. So let me revisit it. Okay, let me go down a little shorter term. It was tight on earlier in April, a few days ago, I should say, and I said the move was coming up or down. It was down, and it kind of filled my target for that little squeeze that it had. So just like that ZS stock, it has short-term support of 156. So if it falls to it, I'd probably trade it up from there if the markets are okay. If not, then it needs to hold the 154 zone. Otherwise, it's head and shoulder-ish. That could come down to 145, 146. I'm not calling for it, but it's there if the general market's correct.
Baidu.
I think it had some pretty good action. I was stuck in calls that were losers. This was a heartbreaker. For the last few months, I'm going to say, I said, okay, I got a trigger alert on Baidu. I'm going to try this and try that. So I bought calls one day, and it failed to break out from the green line below. And then finally this week, it jumped back up. I got whole on the call, so I got out. I considered it a gift, saying, you made a mistake back then, pal. Here's your money back. You want it? I said, yes, please. So I got out. It may have some more upside, but it's coming into 190, which is a pivot area. It's not a hard line in the sand. So if it closes above, let's say, a 196, then it might make some more headway. But for here, I'm happy out of it and see what the markets want to do. This is also a China headline, and so whatever happens with the China trade. So if you believe in that, you may want to go long it. But I think if you're long the Dow, for example, the DIA, they kind of move in tandem, I bet, because they're both China heavy, China related tickers.
How about Lyft? LYFT. We'll let you go after that, I promise.
No problem. So Lyft, I took calls on the first day. The options became available, and within minutes we made money. And I said bye-bye, and I'm done. So the Lyft, if you believe in it long term, sure, buy it, hold it. Otherwise, just trade it in the short term if you know charts. But then again, we don't know enough about it. There's not enough history of it. So there's more guessing than actual. So now it's falling into, I'm going to call it support in air quotes at 69.30, 40, something like that. Mm-hmm. So if you believe that this is going to hold, then it's probably a time to tactically try to buy it. But I can't tell you whether it will or won't. We don't know much about it. Plus, there's other IPOs coming to play, and money may go out of Lyft into those, because if somebody's disappointed, wanted to see some upside movement, they might go away from it. And I'm not talking about Uber. I think Pinterest is coming first, or some other company like that.
All right. We've been on the line with Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Joins the show every other Tuesday to share his technical and fundamental outlooks on the market, which you need a good mix of, definitely, in these markets. Nic, thanks a lot. We'll be speaking to you soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Hanging out at the lows of the pre-market session. 90.75 is your pre-market low. 91.50 your last print. Monday's low. Let's see if they got enough gas to get it there. That's 84 1/4. Let's pick it up here with we probably got some more ratings to cover here to finish out the show.
We have some. Let's see here.
There's quite a few. There wasn't a lot of big names there.
Yeah,
morning. That's why we covered X. We covered Disney. Give us a quick rundown, Spencer, and let's see if we like anything you're talking about.
Man, I don't really see a ton of huge names. As James Smucker getting an upgrade this morning from Credit Suisse. Garin, GERA, getting an upgrade at Needham. Public Storage, PSA upgrade at Jefferies. PKI upgrade at Goldman Sachs. Speaking of Goldman Sachs, I don't know if we talked about their Boeing price target cut, but they did cut their target on Boeing this morning. As far as downgrades, God, I really don't see, like, SAP got a couple downgrades. HSBC and UBS both downgraded SAP. I don't know. It's kind of it. I'm just looking through the list here, and I don't really see a ton of notable ratings besides those.
Okay, well then let's talk. And earlier in the show, I saw someone asking about AT&T and Verizon, both ex-dividend today. What is the adjusted price, Triple D?
Yeah, so AT&T went off the board at 32.39, paid a dividend overnight of 51 cents, adjusted close is 31.88, so it's actually trading in the green. So don't be scared if you got your AT&T and weren't paying attention. It is not down 50 cents today. It's actually up 5 cents with the adjusted dividend. Verizon too. Verizon is actually trading in the red here right now. 58.50 offer, so just slightly down here. And with the market being down as much as it is, they're actually performing quite well. We know these stocks trade more with the TLT than they do with the SPY, though. So not surprising that just because SPY is trading down, that AT&T and Verizon aren't following suit. They don't usually follow suit with the SPY. Verizon adjusted close is 58.52.75 because it's a partial, the quarter of a cent dividend. So 58.52, basically you can round it to, is the adjusted close for Verizon. I traded both these overnight. I'm out of them both. I've sold them both pre-market. Again, people get confused and they think you have to hold it to the open. You only have to hold it until 12:01 p.m. So if for some reason you can get out on your Thinkorswim platform at 12:01 in the morning, that's going to be your time there. I don't know. Like that's what I'm confused. Like when they go to 24-hour trading,
you can't do that.
How do they do that? It's like how do you like make that happen? Because okay, so at 8 o'clock at night, I'm obviously still settled on that day. You know, the trade date is there, so it's ex-dividend tomorrow. But it'll be like 1 millisecond after 12 o'clock, it's going to, all of a sudden be ex-dividend. So all of a sudden, all the high-frequency traders going to hit all the bids.
First of all,
at 1 millisecond after 12 o'clock.
No, because
it's confusing to do.
No, because first of all, you can only trade 24 ETFs.
Yeah, but they want to go to the stocks eventually. So I'm not saying right now they can do that. I'm saying eventually they want to go to 24-hour trading on the stocks too. And TD Ameritrade has talked about that as well. So right now they're doing the 24 ETFs, which makes it a little bit simpler. But even doing the 24 ETFs, I mean, those go ex-dividend sometimes too. I wonder what happens. Like, and in all likelihood, the markets just aren't tight enough that probably people are going to make money with those. But I mean, it's an interesting situation. If we ever did decide to go to 24-hour a day trading, all those dates, those ex-dividend dates and stuff become very interesting after 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
right.
Basically set your filters for 11:59.59 and don't be bidding your stocks out there, your AT&T at 32.20 at 12, because all those high frequency traders are going to spank your bids to obviously take advantage of your mispricing, because after 12 o'clock, they've got to adjust the price down. So becomes an interesting situation for 24-hour trading if they ever do it.
Yeah, Jazz Triple D is confirming you do not have to hold till the 9:30 open to get those dividends.
No, you just have to be on the trade date. So 4 a.m. You'll see at 4 a.m. when the stocks now in this world that we're in right now, ARCA and the NSDQ open at 4 a.m. Eastern. So at 4 a.m. Eastern, the prices have already adjusted. If you look at your systems, they'll already be ready. And anything that's bidding out there higher than that is going to probably get hit. It all depends on market factors too, and other things being equal. But I mean, if AT&T closes at the day at 32.39, somebody's sitting there with a 32.30 bid at 4 in the morning, you can pretty much guarantee that some high frequency trader is going to hit that bid, or anybody else might hit that bid at 32. I mean, I would hit that bid if it was there at 32 at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just too lazy most days to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but your machines aren't. So that stuff reprices immediately there. So you always got to be careful with even putting good till canceled orders out there or overnight orders, and make sure when the stocks go ex-dividend. Because if you're sitting out there and saying, "Oh, I'd like to buy AT&T at 32.25 and it's trading 32.39," you throw out a good till cancel order. Most of your brokers will not adjust those orders for the dividend. So you will still be sitting there at 32.25. And if you're out there and saying you can trade a pre-market and they just closed 31.88, you're going to get picked off and quick down 35 cents.
All right, a couple market structure questions here. One from Echograph. It's talking about, he's saying he thinks his stops can be seen by the market. He places an alert, triggers a sale a penny below the alert price. Is that seen by the market? He wants his stops hidden. Tips? I think they are hidden. Aren't they, Dennis? Stops?
It depends. So, and this is always, then you get into market structure stuff and what is hidden, what is not. I mean, I believe at Interactive Brokers, when you're putting a stop out there, they hold it internally in the system. But when you send a stop to New York, it goes out to the New York book. Now, is any of that information leaked anywhere? I would hope not. It wouldn't be legal if it was leaking. If it is, I would have an issue with it, but that's not saying it can't leak. I don't know. But stops are very predictable. And a lot of times, this is why you see stocks trade through big psychological levels, or if there's multiple lows in an area, you'll see it take it out by a few cents because they know, like, you know, your typical trader is going to look at this and say, I'm going to stop out at this point. They just pick a point on the chart and maybe an old low, maybe it's a double bottom, maybe it's an area of major support, and they're going to take it through that because they know in all likelihood they're going to trigger some stops. So it's predictable. Human nature is predictable where they put stops. So I think that's, you know, and there's definitely, and I mean, and even ourselves, and I know Jeremy Newsom has strategies revolving around that exact strategy as well, in that, you know, people predict, you know, he tries to predict where the stops are going to head and actually buy from them in some of his strategies. And that's fine to do. It's just taking advantage of the flaws in human nature where they'll just go, okay, well, I'm going to stop up below 32, big whole number, or stop up below 30, big whole number. So, I mean, that's the one thing is when you're putting your stops, try to put them more strategically. Don't put them where everybody else is putting them because in all likelihood, you're going to get triggered.
All right. I don't know if I mentioned this at the top of the show. I think I did. But the IMF global growth outlook was due out at 9 a.m. and they cut it. The global growth forecast for 2019 from 3.5% to 3.3%. I am seeing on Twitter here that it is the lowest growth outlook since the financial crisis. So that is your explanation for why your futures are falling here this morning. And on that positive,
I just want to say just before, because we're getting multiple confusion in the chat, so I can address all these questions.
Okay.
Brokers will sometimes mess up the ex-dividends. I actually had one mess up on me, and it's why you've got to understand it and fight for yourself there too. I've had this happen. I actually had this happen in Interactive Brokers, which is a pretty major broker. I was actually short, what's the ADR? What was the stock? It was paying a $4 special dividend. It's a European stock. Anyways,
I remember you telling me about it too.
Yeah, Rio is what it was. It was RIO. So you can see the gap in the chart. So stock was March 6th. On March the 6th, it closed that day at 59.19. It went ex-dividend the next day and reopened, obviously adjusted for the $4.20 special dividend and reopened the next day down to 55. You can see the big gap down in the chart. I looked at my Interactive Brokers account and I was short. I covered on March the 6th. I covered the day before the ex-dividend day because I knew I was having a special dividend and I didn't want to pay it. I looked at my Interactive Brokers account the next day, and it's showing me that I owe a huge dividend, a $4.20 dividend. You know, and it was, you know, on some shares. So I'm like looking at a huge thousands of dollars worth of dividend that I owe, and I'm like, that's not right. I don't know that. So I call up Interactive Brokers and you get the first person. A lot of people don't totally understand it. I mean, you're getting people who help, you know, so you got to get the right person. When you call all these, you know, individual brokers, you might get somebody that might not understand how the process works. So you got to ask for somebody else. Then I got to a person, the second person says, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. So he put in a complaint for me. It wasn't fixed the next day. I called again. I talked to another person. He's like, I see your complaint. It's still pending, you know, that I don't owe this dividend. It took 5 days and 5 phone calls. They finally gave me my money back. So you got to be careful because sometimes your broker will make a mistake. I mean, will they catch that eventually? Maybe, but maybe not. I mean, if there's nobody complaining about it, and they may not catch it. There's a lot of brokers. So they made me pay the special dividend initially, like took the money out of my account that I owed it. And I was like, I don't owe this. I covered it the day before the ex-dividend date. Let's understand how these dates work. So, and then I did get it back. So, I mean, sometimes, you know, even big brokers like Interactive Brokers, they can make mistakes. The system can sometimes make a mistake, especially when you're doing European ADRs. I mean, it gets all confusing to a certain extent. So if the system just, you know, flags it and does it wrong, you might actually end up paying a dividend you didn't know. So you got to make sure. But the way it works, and I have played ex-dividend dates for 20 years. I do them every night. I'm talking about I've done probably hundreds of thousands of individual ex-dividend trades, hundreds of thousands. So I can guarantee you I know how this works. If you have it covered, so you can trade after hours. It's by trade date. So if you're trading a stock that's going to go ex-dividend, like AT&T, for instance, you can buy AT&T at 7:59.59, 4 hours after the market closes last night. You will get that dividend as long as you are holding it when that clock turns to 12:01, as long as you're holding it overnight. When it opens the next day at 4 a.m., it is now ex-dividend officially. The clock has turned. You are on the next trade date because they go by trade date. So in that, you're obviously trading it today, which in today's date is April the 9th. So at 4 a.m. in the morning, you are no longer entitled to get the dividend. If you buy the stock at 4 a.m. in the morning, you are not getting the dividend. That is why they adjust the close overnight to 31.88. So if you sell the stock, you do not pay the dividend. If you sell the stock short at 4:01 in the morning, you do not pay the dividend. That WinX dividend. It has nothing to do with the 9:30 open. It has everything to do with the trade date. So, and you know, you can go back and look at your finance books, and it's the same thing. It's by trade date. So you have to have it as of April the 8th. At 12 o'clock, when the calendar turns at 12 to obviously April 9th, then you're not going to be entitled to that dividend. It's officially trading X dividend. That's why I posed the question when we decide to start doing this on stocks. It's going to be very tricky for everybody to, you know, adjust quickly there at 12 o'clock 0001, because a millisecond after 12 o'clock, every high frequency trader is going to be hitting the bid. So if there's any academics listening to the show out there, challenge that. That's a good thesis paper. How do they deal with that problem of high frequency traders coming in at 12 o'clock 0001 and hitting every bid out there? I mean, maybe you just, you know, got to know you can't have your bids sitting out there. So it's because they're going to get picked off by every machine that can trade in milliseconds, 1 millisecond after the close, after the 12 o'clock, after the date turns.
All right, thank you very much for that clarification, Dennis. Very, very great info. And on that note, we are wrapping up for today. So thanks to our guest, Nic Chahine. Thanks to everyone who joined us in our chat rooms on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Please remember, all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Hope everyone has a good day. We will see you on Wednesday.